All right. I am so excited for the next interview of our Forget Perfect Leadership series, and I am welcoming Beth Davisson today.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you, Vitale. I'm so honored to be here.
I'm
Excited
so,
to have a chat with you as always.
I'm so glad you're here. So, you all, Beth is a senior VP at the Kentucky Chamber, and she also leads the Chamber's foundation. And so she's doing a lot of things, a lot of work across the state, and I'm excited for you all to get to know her. So, to kick us off today, Beth, I would love for you just to tell us a little bit about yourself and your leadership journey.
Well, first of all, Vitale, I really appreciate being here. I always love the chats with you, so it just kind of feels official that we get to have this one on record. And you've meant a lot to me in my career as you've done with so many. So thank you for having me.
Hey.
Okay, now what was the question?
Yeah. Tell me,
What's
tell
been my
me,
leadership journey? Yes.
tell me about yourself and your leadership journey.
Okay. So I am, well, I think to know a little bit about me, you should know I'm the first family member in my family to be born in Kentucky and in the South. So
Okay.
my whole family is from New York, but my dad, back in the day, before I was born, was a truck driver. We were very, very poor. Anyway, he traveled this country and was like, we have to move to Kentucky. So we moved to Kentucky, long story short, through work and education, got out of poverty. And so not only has work and education always meant a lot to me, but Kentucky has meant a lot to me specifically because I really feel like it was picked for me and for our family to become better.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about me. I'm married to the best man in the world. His name is Ryan Davisson. And we have a puppy. Her name is Gracie, and we live and reside in Middletown, Louisville, Kentucky. And I work in Frankfurt. Been there for about 8.5 years already. Time flies there. Leadership journey. Had a lot of ups and downs. And so I know we'll talk all about that, but in short, what I'm doing right now and what I've got to lead there is I came 8.5 years ago. It was a premise of Dave Atkinson's, who was our CEO at the time of the Kentucky Chamber, great man, that businesses could do a lot of good. They could do a lot of really good programmatic work if they got to lead it. And so I came to help fill that vision and had the honor of leading it and have been there 8.5 years. Went from just me. At one time, we even got the team up to a size of 24 through attrition. As people left naturally, we would take on different contracts, and I think we've right sized to a place of about 14
Yeah.
now. And so we do a lot of programs. We've helped 90,000 kids in K through 12 get career experiences where they're thinking about their future and jobs in the Commonwealth that they can take. In the last couple years, year and a half, we've helped 700 individuals coming out of incarceration or recovering from substance use disorder, get into jobs. The list really goes military hiring, disability hiring, like all those opportunity populations in Kentucky. We are coming for you. We want you in the workplace in a way that really suits you and sets you up for a career, all while being really good for the economy. So that's in short
Yeah.
the journey I've been on here at this current
Yeah.
role.
You all do amazing work. So now
Thank
let's
you.
let's talk about leadership. So what does the word
Yeah.
leadership mean to you?
Uh, that's a big question too, Vitaly. I did look at these before I got on. I was like, well, I'm just gonna get on and say things
Yeah.
because those are big questions. Honestly, what came to my brain when you asked me this was privilege. I think life is so short, and it is a privilege and an honor to lead people. If that's your bag, it's not meant for everyone. And people, I've had people on my team get into it. They're like, I'm more of like a technician. I like the work. I don't really want to manage the personalities because it can be really hard. On the flip side of that, the reason I use the word privilege or honor is because I think it is a great honor when someone who has a finite amount of time on this earth chooses to spend it on your team to do what the vision and the purpose that your team has in the charge. That's a big deal. And
Yeah.
and it might sound overstated, but just like I do, how you feel at work will affect and impact the entire rest of your life. And that matters to me so much. So it's never lost on me. We have good days and bad days, and I'm a human being, but it is never lost on me that any of my staff members that works at the Kentucky Chamber Foundation or at the Kentucky Chamber, they're choosing to work there. They could be anywhere else, but they're choosing to spend. So I think privilege and honor, that's really what it means to me. And you have to be careful and care for that privilege and honor.
Yeah, I love that. So when you think about how you make leadership decisions and kind of how you navigate your leadership journey, like what are some of your core values?
Yeah. Well, I'm not perfect at this because we are not perfect, are we? Nope. So one is trust positive intention. So I really do try to walk in rooms, or if I'm having a good day, this is easier. If I'm having a bad day, to
Yeah,
trust that the person sitting across from me that sent me that email, that did all those things, like they had good intentions, right? And to trust that. So to go in and make however I move with that person, how I respond to the email, how I talk, what I say, what I do, it's with my heart that like they really had good intentions. Um, that's a key pillar. So trust, I think trust is the bit, which I know I got to just do your trust catalyst workshop, which was amazing.
thank you.
I love trust. So we at the Kentucky Chamber, Ashley Watts, my boss, who is phenomenal, had us read with a consultant, our coach, Chrissy Barr, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. Patrick Lencioni, amazing book. And the pillar of this thesis is that everything is built on trust. And if you don't have trust, you cannot have anything else. Like the relationships at work erode, the productivity
Right.
erode. So trust is huge for me. And if I notice my trust is waning on something or with someone, or if I see two of my team members not trusting each other and coming to me and being like, like, well, why aren't you trusting that person to go to them directly? Or why am I not feeling I can say what I really want to say?
Yeah,
And then me answering that. So I think trust for me, trusting positive intentions, trust for me is everything.
yeah, yeah, I would agree. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about being a leader or leadership?
Um, gosh, it's so much bigger than we think, isn't it? It's like we think about everything. And I at least I know like my boss Ashley again, I know she cares for the entire person. Like I think sometimes when I wasn't a leader, I was just assuming I wasn't really being seen or heard all the time, or the realm of thought that leaders think about. It's literally everything. Like to how is that person going to bed at night, to how are they showing up at work, to how do our partners view us, to I mean it's everything. I've got a new staff and we were just talking about onboarding and like how's that going for them? And even though I don't manage that person directly, you still think about it.
Mm.
I would also say, leadership can be lonely. And I know that's not unheard of, but I think that's a really real thing. I'm not a lonely person, but by trade, like as friendly as we all want to be with each other, there has to be some healthy boundaries there. And those healthy boundaries at times can feel lonely. So yeah, maybe that would be it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I've been thinking about that too as like my team grows, and that means my role changes. When you have a your own business and you go from being a solopreneur to then having two to then having
Yeah.
three, like what I am involved in needs to change, how my leadership style needs to change. And yeah, I just think leadership continues to evolve.
Well, and see, you're an entrepreneur, so it's a different business model, but we built something similar where it was
Right.
like just us and it's our baby and it's how we want. And then you have to relinquish the control of
Right.
that, right? Too. And that's another thing. You're like, okay, well, if they're gonna go do it, I gotta let them do it and know when to step in and not when to micromanage. And that is a lesson in life because you're like, nope,
Yeah.
you gotta back off.
Right.
Oh, wait, no, do I step in? It's kind
I
of like,
know.
it's interesting.
Right. And we talk about this. I've talked about this in like overcoming perfectionism and trust. But I think like one of the things I've been using too as I'm onboarding someone new is really identifying like of this person's responsibilities, what things need to be 100% and what things can be 85%.
Right.
You
Right.
know, like, and 100% meaning like just do your due diligence. Like mistakes are allowed to be made for things that are, that are identified as 100%, and mistakes will still be made with that. But you know what I'm saying? Are we proofing? Are we letting someone else look at it? Whatever. But I think doing that has been helpful too, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So that well, now I'm about to ask you. So like when you that's a so it's like, hey, this one can be about like 85%, and this one it needs to be perfect, and setting that expectation up front is very good. And I'll say too, my team uses a lot the I'm gonna butcher it actually. So the 3-1-3
One,
method.
three, the
One
one, three,
three one, 1-3-1 method. Yeah, what's the problem? What are the options? What's the solution? So that has actually gotten us out of some really what could have been hairier conversations because it's like a formula. And I think
yeah,
that the art and the science of teamwork and leadership, like yes, it's people. And so it's an art because we all show up however we are different every day, but then there needs to be a science or a formula like a 1-3-1. Um yeah, so that and then the listening inventory that I'm like, okay, now I don't feel bad because I don't have to be 400% plugged in on this Zoom call. This
right.
one I do, but the one where I'm
Yeah.
not active, yeah.
Yeah. And for everyone who's listening, who's like, what is the 1-3-1
Yes.
formula? The 1-3-1 is like a problem solving tool. And it is so simple. And you'll probably think that's too simple to solve a problem, but it is the most simple like decision making tool that I've ever used. And so we teach it in our things, but 1-3-1 is what's the one problem you're trying to solve? What are the three possible ways we could solve it? And what's the one way we want to solve it? And it's just an opportunity to kind of slow down, because I think as leaders, we struggle
Yes.
with decision making because we have so many decisions and our brain has all this kind of frenetic energy going on. That if we just can slow down, then we get to the answer. And so the 1-3-1 is such an easy way to just slow down, time out, and get some
Yeah.
clarity. And can be used as a collaboration tool with a team or used for yourself personally. Anyway.
And it is really collaborative. I will say, because it gets everybody like, oh, we have one common goal to solve this problem. Like, and I don't have to be right or wrong, but if we just follow these steps, we'll get at this together. But yeah, and honestly, too, Vitalia, I know I'm taking us off script,
Hey,
but
right.
like the decision fatigue about leadership can be real too, because it's like that's really your main job is to set priority, vision, and those decisions that follow that. And that 1-3-1 does help you get some like just black and white. This is how
Um,
I do this, and that's really nice. So
I was looking at there was something that came up online in terms of decision making, and so there's like a few things that I'm like incorporating into it. And one is it's not about making the right decision; it's about making your decision right.
oh,
So you know what I'm saying? It's like, do we host an event in this venue or this venue? Like
right.
those are low stakes, but it's like it's not about. I mean, it's you just make the decision and make the decision right.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Because the
And
care
so,
you
like,
take after the decision. Yeah.
yes, yes. And so I think that. Sorry, I'm taking a note because I'm like developing another training right now. And I'm like, I need to put that in there.
Nice. Love it.
Um, but anyway, like I think that could be super helpful. And then one of the decision making frameworks we talk about is like, is it reversible or irreversible?
Right.
No, and if something is like, and everything I think at some days irreversible, but like would it be very costly for it to be reversible? So if something is like irreversible, we probably need to spend more time on it. Think
Yeah.
about, look at all the data, analytics, cost, whatever. But if it's like reversible, there's low stakes and high stakes decisions that are reversible. But even just using that kind of framework can be helpful to like moving forward.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah. Okay. Cool. So you are like a road warrior because you cover the entire state. I feel like you
Yeah.
know more people than anyone I know.
Oh,
And so, like, how do you like manage stress with keeping up with your well-being? Like being
yeah.
every.
Well, sometimes I'm good at it and sometimes I'm not, if we're being perfectly honest. I can tell though now. I can tell, and I think that that's the biggest thing is if it used to be once upon a time, And this is at this point, thankfully, years ago. And I think some of it comes with age and experience, but I couldn't even tell when I was fatigued. I was just overrunning. I am also a recovering perfectionist. So I would just go perform, 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 and not even realize that I'm running on fumes and it's coming out in different ways that aren't healthy. And so now what I'm most thankful of is that can still happen, but I notice it. And so I'll notice, as extroverted as I am, I do recharge by myself. And so I have to go in a cocoon. If I've had weeks of travel or being on stages or nonstop decision making or conversations that are critical, I will like collapse that weekend. I am an avid walker. If you talk about day to day, my feet have to hit pavement. And that does really, really keep me sane. I'm very spiritual. I'm very much Jesus girl. Thank God for him and that, because I do or try to do my Bible study every day on the Bible version app. So I have different pillars that of things that are like you again, we're gonna go back to your class, but what are your five non-negotiables? And so I have five non-negotiables that make me me. Walking, Bible study, brain dump, end of day, just get
Yeah.
it out because I don't want to carry it around as thoughts in my head. I don't care if whatever I'm writing on the page sounds silly, because quite frankly, it's just for me. Maybe when
Right.
I'm gone one day, somebody will read it and be like, what was this check on? But that's not for me to worry about.
Right.
But yeah, I have my list of five non-negotiables, and I don't do them perfectly every day, but I really, really try to hit them. And I can tell specifically when I do them versus don't do them, what my mindset and attitude is. It's much better
Yeah.
to take care of myself and not let that run on those fumes.
Yeah. I know we've talked about this before. I like to call them anchors. It's like what is anchoring you so that you can, you're grounded and you show up better in all areas of your life. It's something I'm really experimenting with my intuitive coach because it's an area I want to get, like I have consistency, but it's not like I just got back from a retreat or like 4 days in Mexico by myself. And it was really
Yeah.
amazing. And I was talking to my intuitive coach and she was like, yeah, I mean, it's amazing, but you're not gonna be able to go to a retreat once a month or even once a quarter, right? Like you don't have that time right now in terms of like building a business. And she's like, how do you build retreat like moments into every day? And
Yeah.
like for me, it's really I need to recommit to walking.
Yeah.
Right now it's like 2 or 3 times a week, but like very inconsistent. Typically it's on the weekends versus the weekday. And so
Yeah.
anyway, I love that you said that because it's something I clearly need to hear again. Like I've got to figure out how to put like I already do my gratitude journaling, I do my prayer,
Yep.
but I've been doing that for like 7 years consistently. And so once you do certain things, they're not as impactful if
They're
you
not total.
they don't have like they become a part of you and like your
Yeah.
equilibrium, but they don't necessarily up level you. They just kind of are because you as you grow, you have a new equilibrium. You
Yep.
move up. And so like that's my equilibrium. And so I need things that are going to help me level up.
100%. And I noticed like too with my gratitude, I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, what? There's leaf outside. The wind is blowing. Like I
Yeah.
get so basic sometimes, and I'm like, this is really pushing me. But I think you're right. We become different versions of ourselves, and we need at that point like different tools. So I love that you said intuitive coach, because that is like your brain and your body and your spirit and all those things inside of you. They are always telling you what you need, but we are get this world is so loud. We skip over it, and it's whatever it is, it's finding that time to like reconnect to that center of who we are. Sometimes it's just driving home from Frankfurt with literally no
I
phone
know.
calls, no noise, just like cut it all out. It's not that I come up with like, but sometimes my brain is just like, please don't, I can't
Yeah.
intake anymore at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's why I struggle with podcasts because I feel like my brain is always
Yeah.
overactive. And it's not that there's nothing to learn. There's tons of to learn, but like I'm also such like a hold a book, old school visual, like feel it,
Yep.
highlight, underline. But anyway, um, okay. So what do you think? Like, we talk about growing team and hiring new people and onboarding. Like, what do you think are some of the most critical skills right now for leaders?
Well, I think for sure, if this is an interesting time because we have these tools and AI and technology, and they can be real assets if you let them. And I think I'm answering your question with this example because no matter what AI does, the ability to look forward and think bigger and analyze like what is the situation around me, whether it's the meeting you have that day or where you're like for us the foundation where it needs to be. We're going through a major rebrand. Our board just went through a strategic plan and thinking of like, okay, we've built this basic startup that's now about 8.5 years in. What's
Yeah.
the next 5 years? So the ability to think through that and then make the decisions that surround it and not get attached to all the shiny balls out there. We need to pivot sometimes.
Right.
We need to make different decisions. We need to see when writing's on the wall and we've got to take a different avenue. But that ability to think bigger and to assess and then make the right decisions, I think that is so critically important because if you don't have that map, how do you lead a team down the trail?
Yeah.
And so that to me is the second part. People are so different. Leadership is so critical. And so that building of trust with you and your staff, I think is really important. Taking the time to shoot the breeze in the beginning. I have some of the most productive meetings I've had. Let's say they're 30 minutes. I have shot the breeze for 20 minutes and then gotten work done in that 10.
Yeah.
Because and I don't mean to just sound foo-foo, but like that human connection really matters. Life is short. We can spend it anywhere. We spend so much time at work. And so if you genuinely don't really appreciate or like where you're spending your time at work, it makes that hard. And so I do. I think having that ability to understand what the plan is, make decisions that honor that plan or even change from that plan when you need to, but then building up your people and then understanding their skill sets too. Sometimes we hire people, that's a whole nother, I mean, they come in with a breed of skills, you interview, it all seems right. And they might have, you have to see really quickly, like, okay, they've got really good skills for this role, but I also see they could do this. Also, this part that we were thinking about, I don't know that that's a total fit. And
Yeah.
so, really kind of understanding like what's the plans, what's the person's skill set, and then that ability to have culture.
Yeah.
And the culture is just that relationship that you're bringing onto this screen, that I'm bringing onto this screen right now. So yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's all
Great.
that,
Great.
all
Great.
that.
Love it. Okay, so you took my overcoming perfectionism course, like which
Yeah, I was
was
like your
that
beta
was like
test.
I think it was like was it 2020 or 2021 or 2022? Anyway, it was like 3 years
We
ago.
were deep in things.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2020-ish because it was
Yeah.
it was a hard time in the world.
So I would love to know like how it's shifted things for you as a leader, like identifying like what perfectionism really is and learning how to lead and show up differently both in your personal and professional life.
Yeah. Well, I think for one, the fact that perfectionism is even a thing that is not good.
Yeah.
I think, Vitale, until I took your course, I like wore that like a badge of honor. Like, well, I'm a perfectionist. And it's like, well, that's actually not great.
Yeah.
Because you would think, well, everything's perfect and that's good. And I work for everything to be perfect. And I can see why I thought that for years. But the things it leads to is burnout, micromanagement, like obsessing about the smallest detail. So I think first things first, like learning, like I had real aha moments like, oh my gosh, this is why that little bully in my brain is telling me I'm not good at something because it's that nagging thought that nothing is ever good enough. And that is a terrible way to live. So that's huge. Um, so that to me was kind of the first aha. I'll say too, it also helped me learn. I think I've always kind of been this way, but I think it definitely reinforced it that ability to be honest and vulnerable. I loved, well, one, you led with that. So thank you. Like,
Yeah.
I think when you lead with that, you open the doors for other people to do that. And we weren't masking and shielding and code switching in your class. And I like that. Like, no one was forced to say more or anything that they wanted to say. But in the middle of COVID, because that time it was Zoom screens, people being able to share and being like, this is how this is showing up for me. And it was deep with leaders, leader to leader, made it feel so much less lonely. And I think with all of that, it really just taught me like, it is so nice just to be honest and truthful to who you are. Everything doesn't need to be drama. I don't need to be walking into work crying and sharing all, but like just being authentically me. I really appreciate that. So you know what I mean? I think other people do too. I know I do. I don't want
Yeah.
to look at robots just saying the most perfect thing all the time. And I think before I took that course, it was those two things. It was like,
Yeah.
this is a real thing and it's not good. And then two, isn't it so much more easy just to be yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And, so part of the work we do is obviously helping leaders and organizations turn the volume down on their perfectionism and turn the volume up on their trust. So you recently attended, like you and your team attended
Yes.
our full day training on how to be a trust catalyst in your organization. And so I'd love to know, like, what were some of your biggest takeaways from that?
Yeah. Well, got me back on my five non-negotiables, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
So it was me and our leadership team
Yeah.
at the foundation. So I loved that because I think it got us really focused on how, again, how critical trust is. I think every single day we just go about like producing our outputs and our who's its and what's its and checking the box. And then sometimes when trust is eroding, it can erode and it can erode fast. And the things it leads to aren't great. Decrease in happiness and culture, decrease in productivity, decrease in partnerships, relationships, all things for us are really important. And so I think we could look and be like, really start to take some inventory on how are we doing building as the leadership team, building that culture of trust and reinforcing it. And so we've been able to really kind of do some inventory there and take some next steps on team building and culture building and
Yeah.
really all centered around trust. So that's been great.
Yes.
And like I said, they're using that 131
Yeah.
all the time, which is great. And then there was a lot of, you mean I don't have to like listen to everything?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, so it's a very, very good course. I just think that entire day just to focus on trust. Again, if as a leader, I'm saying it's kind of the foundation of one of my values, then what are you doing to live it out?
Right.
Because it's not enough to just be like, trust is so important. It's a skill
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has to be built. And if you're a leader trying to build that skill of trust in others, that's an even more important skill. So yeah, that the focus and the tools that you give to that are really, really helpful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we could go on and on,
Yeah.
but there's one final question I want to close with, and it's, maybe like what's one of your favorite pieces of leadership advice you've ever been given, or a quote that's kind of guiding you, or mantra that's guiding you right now? But I would love to close with that.
Yeah. I don't, this was just popped up to my brain first today. So I think there's a big thing around owning your half or me owning my half. And so I really, and I think this is one of my skills is owning my half, like showing up to a table. We do a lot of negotiation. Sometimes in Frankfurt, things aren't always hunky
Yeah.
dory. Um, or so the world we live in can be a bit chaotic and it can be a bit aggressive. We
Yeah.
see things on social media. It's just take people out kind of mentality. My side's right, your side's wrong. I do not believe in that at all.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't fall for that one bit because I think everybody should be owning their half. And so I work really hard when I'm at tables with those discussions, whether it's leading a staff member, whether it's negotiating or trying to develop a new project, to understand what a win looks like for that person and what a win looks like for us, and then
Right.
working as hard for that partner to create a win for them too. And I think that is really important. So owning my half and creating wins, that win-win situation and
Yeah.
scenario. And I Sadly, I think we are getting away from that as country. But I think sometimes you see that play out at work too. But I love that about our team and our organization. Like it's like, okay, how can we get wins here for everybody involved?
Yeah, I love that, Beth.
Well,
Thank you so
thanks.
much. I love
Oh my
connecting
gosh.
with you. I feel like we could talk for like
Yes.
hours.
Yes.
Um,
This is a
I
lot of fun.
appreciate you, and I'm excited for all the listeners to watch this interview. And just I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So grateful. Thank you, Miss Vitale. Appreciate you and everybody listening.
Yeah.